Alright, these games are from Team Event 78 at Team 4545 League. I'm covering all the games in round 6. Fresh approach. We'll see what happens. Okay, so we have the McCutcheon. There's many ways to play against this. This is the main line. H6 gets played here. And then the best move is to put the bishop back here, I think. Now that's strange. Usually, you know, there's a lot to this opening. One of the ideas is this takes here, and then you come in here. You can research this on your own. There's some lines where white gambits this pawn, plays bishop c1. Another lines, white will play queen g4 and allow black to take on d2, and the white king gets displaced, but and then black can generate counterplay. It's a very, very sharp opening. If you know it well from either side, you could do real well. So I'm not immediately familiar with knight d7, but black is clearly planning to play c5. Okay, so white plays queen g4 anyway. Now, some interesting ways for black to hold this pawn. He could push it. Okay, that would weaken this pawn on h6. He could play king f8. Okay, now if he castles, he might run into a little bit of trouble here. That might be an oops. Okay, so let's see what black did. He played g6. Okay, so you know, king f8 stops you from castling, but right now white can't castle, or black can't castle. Let's go forward. Okay, so a little defense here in case there's a sack. I've been able to sack on the square in similar advanced variations. Now, I'm not sure if this is necessary. Let me look at this a second. See, white has already developed his queen. Why does he need to put it there? Okay. You know, black doesn't have any kind of discovery threat on it. See, the one thing that's sticking in the back of my mind is one thing white has to be careful about is when, if he puts, like say, puts the knight here, we have to watch out for c4. Now, if we put the knight on f3, you know, we've cut the retreat of the queen, but do we really want to retreat the queen? You know, it's a peculiar setup here. But for the moment, I don't understand the idea of putting the queen here. Let's develop more pieces. Now, another idea is to play knight f3, and now, for instance, if c5, let's see, I don't think we can get away with knight here because of c4, but well, not right away. Takes, and c4. Okay, so let's see. But we could play knight here. Now our idea is to try to throw a check in here. Okay. Now bishop takes check. We take here, and you know, black may have to give up castling. So I don't understand the move queen h3. Also, just to reiterate, I mentioned in most of the videos, you've got to take your time in Team 45-45 League. You have an average of nearly 2 minutes a move. I say this on every video because not everyone's going to watch every video, but if you took 110 seconds on every move, right about there, you would reach move 40 and be playing off the increment. Now half the games of chess that are played are less than 40 moves, half or longer. Now, if you're still going at move 40, we can usually tell what the likely result will be. Should white win, lose, or draw? Doesn't mean it'll end that way, but we can usually tell. And so, you know, you want to get to 45 minutes. You know, use your 45 minutes and your 45-second increment to your maximum, because, you know, in my opinion, the number one reason, beyond all other reasons, why people lose chess games is they move too fast. And, you know, you've got time here, and let's see how this time comes into play. It's a factor in a number of games. Now here, black is doing a favor in spending the tempo. You know, he's attacking the ghost of the queen. it makes sense if he wants to keep this pawn safe in castle, but look what he's done with his knight. He's blocked the king from castling. So I'm not sure what both sides are up, but let's see some of these guys get in action, okay? Black needs to be playing for c5 at some point. Find a safe way to do that. Okay, so knight f3. Now he retreats that. Okay, well, white has all 4 minors out and has his queen out. Black doesn't have any weaknesses, but he's behind in development. Let's see what happens. Now here, this creates a threat, but to me this seems premature. Okay, here's the reason right here. Okay, see these guys, even this guy and this guy. Where are these guys going? How are they going to come into play for black? Okay, black is not going to win the game with these two little guys, although he does have a threat. And as long as white's careful, he'll see the threat. Now we can't count on our opponent to miss a one mover. Okay, so he slides over one spot. And yet another pawn push. So, got to bring this back here. That's fine. Oh, that's an interesting choice. Okay. I don't see if white has enough here, but let's see. I'm just thinking of something. Okay, if you come back knight here, we have this move. Now let's see. I'm just trying to get a perpetual on the queen, but it looks like it runs out of gas. So h3 says, if you take my knight, I'm going to put my queen down here. Okay, now yeah, this square is covered. I didn't see that at first. Okay, so good move. Looks like a good move by white. So let's back up and look at something here. Okay, so well, let's step back even further. See, black made the choice to play g5. Essentially, 7 seconds came off his clock, so he spent 52 seconds on it, and that's not enough. And let's see, white took close to a minute and 45. So this is good. Okay. And now black took, his clock goes down by almost 2 minutes. So he took about 2.5 minutes on the move. And now white in turn took about 1.5 minutes. So he already had this idea in mind. So black chooses not to take the bait. And now this pawn on g4 is exposed. Now, white can probably surround it and win it, but the knight would be pinned. A little pressure on the queen. There's just pressure on this pawn here. I guess he can shove to here. Maybe black is okay. Okay, you're gonna do that. What about? Oh no, you can't. Yeah, you can do this move. Unless I'm missing something, let's see. The bishop is off limits. If you take, this comes in. Okay. You got to put the queen somewhere. How about right here?
Checkmate.
Okay, that's kind of humorous. So you can't play. You can't take the pawn. All right. Got to check these out. Well, we have to analyze bad moves to determine that they're bad. Okay, so queen g5. And now this bishop is, our pawn is untakeable because the bishop is loose. And that's an interesting move. He says, if you take my bishop, I'm going to trap your rook. You can't approach it. So the net result of this is black has lost a pawn. And now he chooses to bring his pieces out. But now notice black's clock is dropping a little bit. So maybe, he does the right thing here. One thing I tell my students, I say, I don't care if you play a bad move. I really don't, as long as you take your time. Because we can analyze the game and correct, find the better move. But if you don't take your time, you don't have a chance to find the better move. Okay, so Now another threat, threatening c7. Looks like black only has one move. Let's say, oh no, he could take this. I don't know. You have to analyze these out carefully. See, the point is he can take this knight here, and you know this knight may very well be trapped, and black would end up with 2 for 1. Let's see what happens. He does. Okay.
Check.
So if white loses that knight in the corner, black's going to have 2 knights for the rook, and even though white has extra pawns, I would rather have the 2 knights. And there he grabs a pawn. So you know, he can get another pawn for it at some point, but you know, it's not enough here. He says, I'll take that pawn. Now let's see, could he play a5 here? Well, he's going to drop 2 pawns. Maybe white's going to get enough pawns here for the 2 knights. Okay, very interesting imbalance. 6 pawns against 3. Black has 2 knights for the rook. Okay. White does have 2 connected pass pawns, but for now they're back where they started, and these guys are in the way. Generally speaking, 2 pieces for the rook. The winning strategy is use your extra piece to go win a pawn, then win another pawn, creating a pawn majority, advance your pawn majority, get a pass pawn, use that extra piece to push the pawn further, and make your opponent give something up, a piece or an exchange, and then you will have a decisive material advantage. Well, you know, it's not as easy here as it may seem because white has an abundance of pawns. Let's see how it plays out. Okay, black can't afford to give up too many pawns here. That's a very, very tough struggle here. Now, I guess he needs to come back. No, you're going to take that. Okay. Yeah. I kind of like having those 2 knights. This bishop isn't a very good piece, and it has to come back here now. So, you know, what have we got here? Let's do a quick evaluation. White's ready to run his pawns. You know, this 1, 2, 3, 5 moves, it's a queen, okay? In 5 moves, that's a queen. So black needs to set up some kind of a blockade. His knight can get to d7 and one of these squares. The king, then that's 2 moves, 3 moves here, 4 moves here. This is a 5th move if we can get there safely, and then swing the rook over. You know, black needs a lot of moves to get coordinated. If white runs his pawns fast, black may be in serious trouble. Okay, so he's going to stop and counterattack a pawn. I don't know if he has time for that pawn. Well, he decides to pin him down. Let's just have some fun here. What happens if here takes here? Now you can blockade here, but you're going to get chased out. Okay, and if black has to give up this bishop for this pawn, you know, white will have the exchange and a pawn advantage. So, you know, I guess we can come back here, but, you know, let's go attack the knight. Let's protect it. Let's shove the pawn. You want to attack this? Go ahead and take it. Let's see. Actually, no, you could do this. Let's see. And we can only check this by analyzing. Let's see. So king d7. It's back up here. Now he can blockade it. Okay, maybe he does have time to take the pawn. And you know, it's interesting. So I guess you do have to. I guess this is a good move. But you know, as I was pointing out, I was just doing a general thing with counting the moves for the pieces to get over. Now, right now, this knight isn't helping. The king still has to come up, so the rook can go back, so the bishop can move, so the rook can swing over. You know, it's a lot of work here. A lot of work here for black. So I guess maybe he wants to try to trade the rook off and then figure that he can use the king and bishop to blockade these pawns. Okay, interesting. You know, these players took more time on than I did. Now notice black is finally, he's using a lot more time now. So, you know, I think he does have some chances here. Let's go forward. Okay, not blockades right now. You know, white can go this way maybe. He wants to activate his king. That makes sense. Okay, activate, getting the knight active. There goes the pawn. Time to get this one going. That's probably wrong because you're giving up control of this square. I think b4 would give white a little more flexibility. See, now you can, when you play b4, you're not threatening to play b5. This is helping black a lot. And now the black pieces have come over to run their blockade. So white still has a material advantage, but you know, I still like the two pieces. If you handle them correctly, white could run into some trouble. Now, I'm not sure. See, did black have to play d4? See, this has the risk that it gave white 3 connected pass pawns, although they are blockaded. You know, see, one way to objectively look at it is point count. Black is down a couple of points, a couple of pawns, right? But at the same time, if he can win white's pawns, you know, the advantage can tip in his favor. You know, for instance, if black can win all 3 of those queenside pawns, he's going to win this game. Okay, at least he should win this game. So it's a very, very interesting imbalanced position. But you know, the jury's out if this works or not. But now, you know, these pawns are kind of stuck, and maybe black has some counterplay here. Now the pawns are fully blockaded, but can black win them? The king can only get so close. He can't approach this pawn unless he slides in this way, right? And then the rook could theoretically transfer over. And maybe by the time that white or black does all that, white is bringing this up and, you know, protecting it. You know, white would be on the defensive, but you know, maybe this pawn can be a factor. But let's go forward. Okay, so white says, I'm going to try and get my pawns rolling, or at least get rid of yours. Okay. Now this, I don't like that because it neutralizes these pawns. Now at some point they might have an idea of playing f5 and pawn takes, and then you shove one of the other pawns up so that when it's captured you get a passed pawn, but we're nowhere close to that arrangement yet. The black king is well within view. So okay, let's see. But, you know, the white pawns are blockaded, so black appears to be holding his own. Now white has a minor threat. Stops that. And there goes that guy, because black had gone over this direction. So suddenly the pawns are starting to look better. The farther they get, the stronger they look. And here they come. Now this seems to be unstoppable. And apparently that's the game. Resigns. Okay. Very, very fascinating game. Let me go back to knight b5. That was 30 back 74. Here, 1 second. I have to type in the command here. Back 74. Takes us back 74 half moves. Kind of nifty, huh? I love blitzing. All right. So what would I do if I was in this position? if I was white? Well, again, I'm reluctant to give up the 2 pieces for the rook, even though white did get a lot of pawns, okay? But white's just a pawn up. Okay, so the future says that eventually, white's going to use this kingside majority and get a pass pawn here. So your pawn up, let's just keep the pawn and play to break on the kingside. This bishop here on c8 is kind of a bad, excuse me, a bad piece that's blocked in by these pawns, okay? So this knight is loose on g4, and he gave it up. Well, let's play this. Now, I always ask a question, what is black going to do? And the answer is, we don't know. And we'll never know because white didn't play this move. But, for instance, at some point, black needs to get this move in. But that may not be any good now, okay, because now this move comes in, okay? And, pawn takes, let's see. We have a choice. We can throw this check. Let's see, I don't know, let's see. Maybe it's a little different. Let's see. It's kind of similar. Check. Whoops. Let's see. Pawn takes. Well, if we move the knight, I'm just going to put it here for a moment. I don't think black can afford to take this because
check.
Black is down a whole rook here, and I don't think he's winning this knight, at least easily. Maybe, let's see. But he needs to win the knight just to be down the exchange, and while all this is happening, we have this staring at us. And if you take here, white may very well take this way, and suddenly this knight may actually find a way out. I had a possibility to do this back in 1972 in a different position, but very, very similar strategically. But like I say, I don't like the idea of giving up 2 pieces for the rook just under general principle. Now on c5, see, we don't have time for this because of this. So let's see, what else could we do? We could just reinforce the knight. Now we can answer this with this. And if takes, let's just come back and do this check. Let's just do this. Now it shouldn't take here. Oh wait, look, we have a problem. Ha! Wasn't there before. See, I make blunders. I'm human, just like you. I don't know. But my inkling would be not to give up the 2 pieces to the rook. I'd have to evaluate, do I want to put the knight here? Do I want to put the knight here? Do I want to play the pawn up? Maybe I will defend it with the bishop, although I probably wouldn't want to. See, I'd like to be able to answer this with c3 and keep my pawn chain intact. But I can see the value of going here. That is a refutation in one line. Let me show you. Let's see. It's, when you know similar positions, that helps a lot. Okay, let's go back here. What's this? Okay, not this line, but this line. Okay, white gambits the pawn. Now, if black castles, it's forced mate with takes. So black needs to play a6 here. c5 is premature. And we ran into similar stuff that I just showed you. I actually had a game like it. I said I had something like this happen way back in 1972. Let's see. Seemed like this happened. Don't ask me why I went up here. I was still unrated. Okay, took.
Check.
And when I learned chess, it was learning chess strategies. I was 17 years old when this was played. Centralize your king, and without thinking, I played here. But this move puts a lot of pressure on on black winning this knight. Okay, so interesting stuff, huh? Okay, so one final look here. I think it was I think the moves, I disagree with some of them, but there were some well thought out moves here, and I think both players had a chance to be better in this game. And you know, I don't know what the computer says. I don't care what the computer says. You shouldn't either. Analyze on your own. You know, it's interesting how this move fails because of the mate. So there's some clever stuff in here. But maybe what? Well, I don't know if you can do it. Let's see. I want to be able to answer C5 with C3, but this is loose. So is there? You know, there's no rush to take this. We can probably win that pawn soon enough. What if White played Bishop E3? Now the idea is that we're trying to get some, restore the base of this pawn structure. Okay, like for instance, we don't know what black's going to do. Suppose he takes. Okay, we take back. Now C5. Now we can play this, and you know the E5 square doesn't get weak. See the difference? And you know the idea is this pawn's not going anywhere. We'll track it down later. You know, I think this is a fine position for White. Now, is it forced? I don't know, but yes, this is how you get better at chess. You analyze like I was doing. I could spend the rest of the day. This is a very, very fascinating game, but you know the idea is put some thought in the thoughts into the minds of the participants as well as you, and go from there. Okay, so let's close this one out.